Henry, how are you? Good to see you.
Good, good.
I'm
Nice
really
to hear you.
thank you for joining me and Destino. I really wanted to include you because I really like the story that you have and especially all the work that you do over in Avid Elementary. Would you be
Mhm.
able to start with your name and what you do?
Sure. My name is Henry Melendez. I am a development coordinator and executive assistant to our showrunner, Quinta Brunson on Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, very cool. I've been seeing all you guys' work over there. You're on your fifth season. So what is it like to be on the set for day one of one of the episodes for you?
Like, what is my day to day?
Yeah,
Well, um, yeah, no, on a day to day, my job primarily, especially when the show is up and running,
yeah.
especially when we're filming, because there's different stages to our show, right? We start off in the writer's room, right? That's how we normally start off. Like all the writers go in and it's headed by Quinta and our other two showrunners, Justin and Pat. So we start off, for weeks being in the writer's room because we have 22 episodes to film in a season, which is a lot. It's a lot
Yeah.
of television. So, they start off in the writer's room for a good amount of time because they're trying to write as many episodes as they can
Mhm.
before, Quinta wears like three hats. She's an executive producer, she's the writer of the show, and she's our showrunner. So they're trying to maximize as much time as they can having her in the room. Obviously, this is speared by her. The stories, ultimately come from her, and it's everything has to be run through her. So having
Yeah.
her in the room, only focusing in that time frame just on the writing alone is crucial because that's when you have her and her mind's just there.
Yeah.
So the day to day at the beginning is just I'm just making sure she has everything that she needs to function in her day to day. When we're in the show, when everything's filming, it becomes very, very, very chaotic in the sense that everybody needs her and needs her time, needs her, where her mind is. And every department head needs answers to their questions that sometimes
Yeah.
only Quinta can answer. So everybody is struggling to have a bit of Quinta's time. So my main job is scheduling. It's trying to fit all these people into trying to have those 5 or 10 minutes with her, to have those 30-minute conversations with her. So it's just trying to find the time, given she doesn't have a lot of time in her day. So it's just trying to fit everything into trying to get her to be able to answer those questions, to be able to see those people. But day to day, I mean, we start off and just making sure she has everything she needs in the morning, whether that's something as simple as her coffee or her breakfast order to something more difficult, like running through her schedule and seeing to make sure what she has on her day to day. That's
Yeah.
just in the writing part. Now, when we're filming,
Hmm.
our hours are a little bit different. Our hours start at 5:30 in the morning, where she starts in glam. And my first job is it's that early in the morning. Typically in that morning where she's in glam, she doesn't need a lot, but I just have to make sure.
Yeah.
I'm there at 5:30 just to make sure if she does need anything, that I'm there to take care of it. And again, that could be something as simple as, oh, you know what? I need my sides for the day, or you know what? I actually need this. I forgot my computer charger. So just making sure she needs whatever she needs to be able to function. So that's primarily just making sure her morning is set. So for those 1.5 to 2 hours that she's in glam, she
Yeah.
doesn't need anything. I'm just making sure she's taken care of. Now, when we start filming, I'm just with her, next to her, throughout the entire day. Sometimes she needs sides, sometimes she needs to be reminded of what she has after filming because there's meetings, there's things that she has to do, there's events that she has to go to. So I'm just making sure that she's aware what she has to do her entire day and just keep reminding her of the things that she needs to attend to, things that are priority for her to answer. throughout her day, emails just come.
Yeah.
Hundreds of emails are coming that she needs to reply to. So I'm CC'd on most of them. So my job is to make sure what's important, what's less important, what can wait, what's priority. And it's just trying to navigate all these questions that she has to answer. And in between scenes, let's say she has like a 5 minute break.
Yeah.
My job is in those 5 minutes, get as many answers as I can because I'm relaying to all these avenues, marketing, publicity, our show, department heads, producers, like everyone has questions for her. And my job is to make sure that she's staying on top, answering as many people as she can
Yeah.
uh, throughout the day. So it's just being, just navigating her schedule mostly is the most important part because her mind is, when we're filming, her mind is in all different directions. My job is to make sure that she's aware of everything of what's going on. And throughout our filming year, she has events, we have award season, she has
Right.
to go various events, various meetings. So it's just, yeah, it's just navigating all of that. And again, my job is just trying to make her day to day as simple and less chaotic as possible. So
Yeah,
it's yeah.
I agree. I mean, as a crew member, I think like somebody in your role is very pivotal because not only do you kind of have a sense of what she may like, but also we try to get to you before we can get to our executive or showrunner to get those
Mhm.
answers to move forward. And like you said, like her answers are what gets the show moving. So you
Mhm.
got to get them as soon as possible. And for your situation, it's a little bit more special because she's also the star of your show. So she's,
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, she's always busy. Doing 22 episodes a year,
yeah,
it's a lot. It's a blessing. It's a blessing for one. But for someone who's, has three different hats on the show, it can get a bit tough, to be trying to do everything, right? So of course she needs someone that's going to be her right hand to help guide her, to help make sure she's answering everybody and make sure that she knows what's going on in all avenues of our show.
yeah,
And all these department heads, all these producers, all these executives and their assistants, primarily go through me because sometimes when they go directly to her, she gets hundreds of emails. She might
yeah,
miss them. She might not see them, so my job is to make sure that she is seen and that she is aware of the questions she's being asked. So yeah, it's kind of being the middleman to, from all these avenues to her. And it's just making sure that she's being aware of what's going on.
well, you're fully engraved in the Abbott Elementary process. So, what would you say is one of the proudest or fun episodes that you guys got to work on over there?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, I mean, just being on this show is just a proud moment in itself,
Yeah,
the way that it took off, the way that it resonated with so many people around the world. I think, coming into season one, we were so small, right? Like we didn't know what would happen. I mean, we all had hopes for it. We all thought
yeah,
it was, a great show. So when it took off, I think just feeling proud that like, oh wow, like we really did that, as a team, as everybody's putting in their work. So yeah, just being on the show is just it's just I just feel very proud and just being on it.
yeah,
So many episodes that are highlights for me. Like, I don't know, even this past season, like going to Philly to shoot, we usually take a field trip
yeah.
in our episodes. We got to do one in Philly in season two. We recently just did another one in season four. And that alone is just something that's just so memorable because we get to go out with our crew, we get to go out of our normal day to day, being on the
Right.
line. So just doing that, I think is just such a memorable experience, just going out there shooting in a place where in the city that the show takes place in, and just being in that environment, just seeing everything come to life it's really special. And, obviously Philly, and I've never been to Philly prior to this show.
Yeah.
So just being there, just really, really is warm. Being there with the show and how special the show is to everyone in Philly. I don't know, it's a different feeling. It feels really, really cool.
Yeah, and it's also a big part of the WB lot. We get to see the exterior of the school every time we walk
Um,
around the back lot. But
yeah, it's become
I,
a very, it's become a pivotal point in the tours, I
yeah.
see.
But yeah, I did get an opportunity earlier on to cross paths with Quinta, and I did definitely tell her how admirable it was how she came up with the show based on her mom's story and
Mhm.
how she was able to create such a not only a successful show, but something that really meant a lot to her
Mhm.
and that identified or represented her mom's kind of legacy.
Yeah, no, yeah, all the idea just came from her, and she says it a lot. If you YouTube any interview that she's done with Abbott Elementary, I mean, it stems from the experiences that her mom had, and
Yeah.
a lot of it stems from that, and being in the public school system, and the difficulties and the things that a lot of public systems go through,
Mhm.
especially in a city like Philly, or so she talks about that a lot. And so, yeah, I mean, her brain just came up with this show. And again, it's resonated with so many people, especially our teachers. And the fact that it's so relatable. It's
Yeah.
so relatable, especially for those that work in the public education system. And who hasn't, if you've gone, I'm a person who's gone to, a public school. So it's relatable. A lot of these experiences, a lot of these things that, the teachers go through. So it's really nice to see that on in a comedic way, right? On
Yeah.
TV.
No, and I've also read articles about how your show also gives back to the public education system and also
Mhm.
finds a way to voice their issues and their problems in in a more global way.
Yeah, no, they've done a lot. Like, I know that Abbott's partnered with a lot of different menus, thanks to Quinta, thanks to our marketing team. They're always trying to see what's a good way to give back. And when we
Yeah.
see that, it's such a really, 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 really proud moment to see, how it affects so many people, and the good things that can come out of this. We're a successful show, but a lot of it is seeing how it affects so many, and the fact that we can give back is really nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's the dream. But
Mhm.
you did talk a little bit about you and your journey, and we met as assistants on The Big Bang Theory. Are you
We
able
did.
to talk a little bit about how you got your start?
Oh, how I got my start. Well, I mean, I had a very different path
Yeah,
from this
exactly.
industry. I was in finance for about 10 years before my path came here. Oh, let's see, where do I start? Well, I was in finance and marketing. I was working for JP Morgan for like 10 years, and my I was let me backtrack. In high school, I was in the arts. I wanted to be an actor. I loved television, but because of my parents, they didn't think the arts was a suitable degree that would make me successful.
Mm,
As parents, I feel like they always think the more money you make, the more successful you are, or it's all about money, right? Because our parents just kind of put that on us. But so because of them, they kind of swayed me out of the arts. They told me that the arts was not going to pay my bills. So I studied, not because of them, but it was definitely a push. I
yeah,
studied
absolutely.
marketing, I studied finance, and I got a job at Chase at the Bank One at the time, which then transitioned to Chase. And I was there throughout my college years. So that when I graduated, I just continued staying up, climbing up the ladder there. But when I was promoted to manager, I was sitting in my boss's office that had a plaque that said 26 years of service. And I literally sat there and I was like, I can't do this for 26 years. So I literally was like, you know what?
Do you really want that plaque?
I don't want that plaque. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back for what I really wanted. At
Mm,
the time I was 27, 28. I thought being an actor was I was already too old. I feel like that was my mindset. I was already too old to be in front of the screen. So I definitely still wanted to do something in television. So I went back to school. I got a second bachelor's in television production because I was still fascinated with the behind the scenes, being producing, directing, everything
Yeah.
like that. So studied that, went to Columbia. From Columbia, they had a program out here, a semester in LA. That's how I got connected here to do my last semester here. And the minute that I got here, you have to understand, I did a second bachelor. So a lot of my peers, I'm 28. A lot of my peers are 20, 21,
Uh-huh.
19. So they're much younger than me. And it's not to say that they all thought this way, but they have a much younger mindset. The
Mhm.
minute that I got here, I was ready to go. And I'm not joking. I went on LinkedIn. I literally I positioned LinkedIn at the time with who went to my school and who was working here.
Yeah.
So I narrowed that search down and literally cold emailed everyone that went to Columbia and had a job here in Los Angeles. So I was just emailing everybody, like cold messaging everybody, like, hey, I went to Columbia, like I'm here for a semester, hundreds of emails. And just, I didn't know if anyone was going to answer me, but that was the first thing that I did. From day one that I was here in my semester, I'm like, I only have like 3, 4 weeks. I need to do as much as I can in these like 4 weeks that I'm here.
Yeah.
So Cole emailed everybody every day, and finally I got a couple of responses.
Mhm.
And I got a response from someone who went to Columbia. I still remember her name, Rachel, and she was a coordinator at the time at HBO. Consequently, she was looking for interns in production. So I was like, yeah, I sent her my resume, and I quickly got an interview. And within weeks, I was a new intern at HBO, and that was my first like in at the door. So I was an intern at HBO and finished that intern program. I was so happy. I mean, it's HBO. Like it's like if you want to get in this industry back then, HBO,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones was their big thing. Like you wanted to be at HBO. So I was just so happy that I got that internship. And again, being an intern, my mindset was I need to stand out as the best intern here because I eventually want a job.
Right.
So I was just doing everything that I possibly could. They had a pumpkin contest. I made sure I had the best damn pumpkin there. And that it was little things like that. They're so
Yeah.
silly. It was little things like that that I just needed to stand out from everybody else that was trying to
Yeah.
aim for the same thing. So, and I did that. Every little thing, that opportunity that I could, I just wanted to stand out to make sure that people knew who I was, people knew that I worked hard and that I wanted a career in this industry. So after the internship, I stayed as an assistant and sometimes I did temp with them, but it was just getting my face known to all these execs so that they saw me. Eventually, I did meet an executive there that took I would like to say that he was serving as a little bit of my mentor. His name was Michael Hill. He was a uh, senior vice executive at the time for Westworld that was about to come out.
Oh, okay.
So after communicating, he knew my goals, he knew what I wanted to do. He told me he would put me on his show. So he kept to his word and he put me as a production assistant on Westworld season one. That was, I don't know where this is going, but season one of Westworld was a shit show. That was,
Yeah,
but
that one's heavy.
I didn't know any better. I thought this was the way of the world. The amount of work that we were doing, I thought the hours that we were working, I thought this was the way of the world. I was just grateful to be there. I'm
Mhm.
like, this is a big ass show. Like I'm working on this show. But after season one, I stayed connected to my colleagues that worked there, and one of them became a coordinator here at WB. She was a coordinator. She was an APOC in Westworld. She
Uh-huh.
became a coordinator out here, and she got me a meeting, or she told me that Big Bang was looking for a PA. And so she put my name in, and that's how I got to work on the Big Bang. And
Yeah.
that's you. Through the big After the Big Bang was a set oil machine. Like there was no way I was gonna, it was season 10. There was no way I was gonna get promoted on that show. So I told myself, I was like, I did the show. I was very grateful. It's a big show, I was very grateful to be on that show. A
Right.
lot of great people that I met there, but I knew it would be very hard to get promoted there. Like I was the new person coming in.
Mhm.
So the same coordinator at WB introduced me to a producer that was looking for an assistant. So his name was Scott Seitz. And I interviewed. He was doing a show called Me, Myself, and I at the time, and I was a line producer's assistant. I stayed with that producer for many years. Like he took me from show to show. Unfortunately, a lot of his shows were like 30-minute comedies that only did one season, but he kept bringing me on to these different shows. Cut to years later, years later, he was telling me about this school show that was coming up, and it was called Abbott Elementary. It was a different name at the time, and he told me if I wanted to jump on this show. And yeah, at first, I wasn't sure because at the time I was struggling a little bit. When you work in this industry for shows, you're kind of freelanced.
Yeah.
So it's great when you're working on a show, but when you're not working on a show, there's a little bit of a struggle there because you're looking for your next project. So sometimes it can be a bit of a struggle because you're looking for your next show, you're looking for your next project, and in between, you need to make money.
Exactly.
So it's hard. Not having consistency is, I would say, the only little bit of struggle in this industry when you're working from show to show, is just trying to always stay working, right? Going from one show
Right.
to another. So the in-betweens can be a struggle sometimes. So when he told me about this show, I said no. I said no because historically he was having like one season shows. I didn't want to do a one season show anymore. I wanted something more consistent.
Yeah.
But he told me, no, look at the script. I read the script. I was like, oh, this is really funny. He's like, if you do come work for me, I'm gonna introduce you to a new showrunner. This is her show. She doesn't have an assistant, but she's gonna need some help. So I said,
Right.
okay. So she introduced me to Quinta. Me and Quinta went on a Zoom to kind of meet each other, see
Yeah.
if we were a good match, and we clicked. We clicked immediately. I was, you know, she was, this was her first big show, and so we clicked. I was helping her in whatever I could. Season one we haven't aired yet,
Hmm.
so we're filming season one. I was, being there for her while also assisting Scott. And once season one came on, it blew up. It blew up. She blew up. That's when she was getting she needed help. She needs a full-time assistant. So she was like, you know what? I can't be sharing you anymore. Like it's either me or it's him, like whatever you want to do. And so I was like, bye, Scott. So it was a no-brainer. Like Quinta, I mean, there's this new show. Like I loved where her mind was creatively. Like she's a boss. She's a boss lady. So I knew I wanted to work for her. Like her vision, everything, just seeing it season one just flourish. I was like, this is what I want. So we connected in season one, and as it grew by, I became a full-time assistant to her, and she changed my life. And it was the most amazing thing that I could have asked for. And, I've been working with her since season one, and I have to say Quinta is one of the best people that I've ever met. She's not only creatively, but just as a person, it was
Yeah.
just such a wonderful, kind person.
Yeah, and that's exactly what all of us search for those creative people that we click with. And so that's really great that you were able to find that with Quinta. And not only that, but to be able to have her there to use as inspiration for your own like ideas and for what you can contribute to the show. I think that's also got to be really rewarding.
Yeah, no, it's definitely just the experiences alone. Like
Yeah.
it was the White Lotus. I don't know if people watch that, but or if you watch that, but like when there was this girl that said like, when she was talking to her girlfriend, she's like, I'm just happy to be at the table. That's legitimately how I feel, right? Like just happy to see it all happen.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you just see everything from start to finish and you kind of just take that all in and you definitely once I feel like for a lot of people like they're being in this industry, your life can change from one day to another, like honestly, like one minute you're struggling, one minute you're trying to be like fuck, how do I sorry like how do you pay your rent, like how do I manage this month's bills, like LA can be tough, but like if your heart's in it, if you just keep trying, like I know it's such a cliche thing to say, but like honestly, like it just literally one day to another, like things can change.
Yeah, it's always just one call away. I mean, I enjoy my walks around the back lot just because you never know who you're going to run into.
Exactly.
But this is also part of the job to stay connected and to try to alert, like meet as many people as you can, as many crews as possible, because that's where I feel like you start to lose momentum when you only stick to that core group that you want to work for.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. It's such a cliche thing to say when people are like, this industry is honestly just who you know.
Yeah,
And there's a way to go about it, right? Like people can read you. If you're like, you can't be so you meet some, for instance, the one turn off that I get from people is like, I never mention where I work, like
right.
when I meet someone new, because you read people like you're like, if I were to say something like, oh yeah, I work on Abbott Elementary, people just light up like and
Of
start
course.
attacking. Like they like, so it's not about that. You just have to be genuine, still humble, and still be a nice person, right? To like
Yeah,
get what you want. There's a way to do it. And, but it is, this industry very much is about who you know, right? And, you can send out thousands of resumes and cold emails, and sure, that does work. And thankfully, it will work for you should still do that, but definitely being connected, trying to network, trying to meet people when you are employed on a show or
yeah,
anywhere. It's just making those connections, doing your job, being approachable, communicating and, just if you do a good job, I feel like you will stand out, and people will
exactly.
continue to
Yeah.
work with
Just like you said, that pumpkin story reminded me my earlier days. I was on a show and I wanted to start doing graphics, so I did caricatures of the cast and I made that as a poster. I started showing that around. So people started to know that, hey, that's what I want to start pursuing. But if you're not loud about it, if you don't talk to people about it, there's no way that they can kind of guide you or help you out.
Exactly, exactly. And it's trying to find a way to make sure people, know who you are in a nice way, right? Like standing out, like making sure, you're seen, you're in an approachable way and, just doing your job.
And as well, connecting with people like outside of work. I mean, we don't work on the same show, you and I, but we still like keep in touch. We still want to know, make sure that you know what we're up to, and also being able to get involved on things like outside of work. Like if there's a function going on, if people are working on a play or whatever it might be, you definitely want to stay social and keep working those
Yes,
connections.
definitely staying connected and like even you like when I run into you we're always like, hey, what are you doing now, like what are you working on, and like
Right.
sometimes, and it's those things, right? We've worked on one show, but
Mhm.
like if you were to be like, hey, I'm looking for this, like I always keep, you keep that in mind and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, like I know someone that's looking for them, and you connect it and you're playing connect the dots, right? You're helping
Right.
people out and I always go back to like I know when when I was struggling looking for work and blah 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 and everything. And I kind of know the position and how difficult it is to move up. So you keep that in mind when people are like asking for like, hey, if you know anything, and if you know that person a little bit, you worked, they're hard workers, or
Yeah.
like you work with them. Like it's always keeping those people in mind.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
also, like you said, a lot of those people, like the coordinator that helped you out, knew how hard you worked and your personality that went well together as well. But that makes them want to help you out. And it's not something that you forced on them, but it's just you were being organic and yourself.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I owe her a lot. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the conversation, Henry. I'm glad that we got to chat.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I did. This was great. Sometimes it's not every day you get to reflect on the things you do, but this was pretty cool.
Well, good. I'm glad that we got to do that. So, I'll definitely be seeing you around.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see each other around.
All right.
All right, take care.
Bye.